Welcome to the show. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
I'm Sarah.
Hey!
I'm back.
And today, very fittingly, we are discussing the sequel to the first movie that Sarah ever joined us for,
Wow.
which
full
was
circle.
Alien. This is Aliens.
Oh, it's
With
not.
an S.
It's not of any cultural current events reason. It's just. I thought you were
We're
saying
celebrating
fittingly.
Sarah.
Yeah,
Celebrating
fittingly, we just got invaded by aliens. So
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna laugh. We're gonna argue. We're gonna cry. That's not part of this intro, but I'm going to cry today because we always have such funny episodes together. So,
yeah,
and I overcried at something at lunch the other day. I didn't see me cry, but
yeah. You didn't cry at all during Bell.
ugh. Anyways, at the end of the day, they're just movies.
It's a spoiler alert, man.
That was actually awesome. Next week we're gonna do Forrest Gump.
Ooh.
Stick around for that. But today it's Aliens. Is that the first sequel that just added an S?
Yeah, I think that's kind of clever.
The first
like
one.
I mean, there's only one alien in the first movie, and there's multiple in the
Yeah,
second.
that gives it
so
extra.
It really
cred.
makes
Might
sense.
as well. Yeah.
David, what are you giving this movie out of 10?
Aliens masterfully recontextualizes the impressive iconography of its predecessor to make the familiar feel novel once again. It's a shame, then, that this movie's dynamics have been copied in a million different properties in almost as many mediums. 8.7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's an awesome movie. It's just, I think this one has been replicated more, like that squad dynamic, like in every military video game ever. Like they steal something from this, and going back to this, it feels a little lesser for it.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
That's actually a question I had because obviously, like watching this.
Silence, Riley. Not your time to dive into
My
questions.
slogan. It's time for my
No, we're
slogan.
gonna do Sarah next.
We don't have to go in
You
order.
did this. Did you
we
do
can
this last
bounce.
time?
We can
I'm just
bounce.
actually I have it out for Riley.
Yeah, something's going
Too.
on.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please go on.
I'm on little sleep. Please spare me.
Aw.
Okay, I'll just go to my slogan then.
We'll get to your questions later.
I find this movie is less valuable as an action horror romp and more as a touching reminder to call your mom. I'm giving it a 6.9 out of 10.
Nice.
Because I think I recognize, like, this is what I'm struggling with. Like, this is an early movie, 1986, and obviously it's been copied. I don't know how to gauge it. I don't have the context. So it was okay, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. I feel like a lot of things don't hold up super well.
That's okay.
And that's okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Call your mom, even if you're older
yes,
than her.
That makes me feel better.
exactly.
Sarah, what's your
All
thing?
right. James Cameron took Alien from boo to boom in his thrilling masterclass sequel Aliens, leading it to become one of my favorite action movies of all time. 9 out of 10.
Sure.
Dang.
Yeah.
I honestly don't enjoy action movies that much, but for some reason, taking kind of the horror aspects from Alien, still somewhat including them in this film, but making it much more exciting and engaging. I truly enjoy this movie a lot. So
Sequel king, that guy, hey?
oh yeah,
From boo to boom.
until the next.
She
one.
meant
love
boo
that.
as in like boo.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Just for
It's gonna
clarity's
stick
sake.
in
I
my
was
mind.
worried that was going to be an issue. I was like, are people not going to understand the boo as like scary boo? But
That'd be a good TLC show.
From boo to boom. It's like ghost makeovers.
Yeah, something. I don't know what it is, but
All right.
I love that.
James.
Though it suffers from a lot of its pioneering work later becoming cliche, Aliens mostly earns its iconic status. Mostly.
Oh.
8 out of 10.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
See, I'm not ready to be the hater.
it's okay.
I'm not ready. I'm not going to defend anything if you guys come and attack me, okay? I'm just going to let you roll right over. I'm tired.
Okay, sure.
Okay, well, if you're tired, it's a good thing you're sitting in such a comfy chair, because this podcast is brought to you by Secret Lab. Secret Lab chairs are engineered to keep you comfortable for long hours at work and play and sleep at work. Their Titan Evo 2022 series chair offers 4-way lumbar support, that's the part of the back we talk about the most, comes with a magnetic memory foam head pillow, and is offered in different upholsteries like hybrid leatherette, soft weave fabric, and Napa leather, the official leather of the UFC. Just because it's caps lock, I always have to say something about Napa leather. Napa! With an up to 5-year extended warranty and 49-day return policy, you're covered if anything goes wrong. So learn more about Secret Lab at lmg.gg/secretlabtjm. time.
I just fell asleep just now because it was so comfortable.
Micro sleeping. Tell us what happened in this movie if we haven't seen it since 86.
57 years after destroying the ship Nostromo?
Yeah.
To escape a xenomorph, Ellen Ripley is rescued and brought out of stasis.
A xenophobe.
You could say she is.
Get out of here.
Her employer, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, is skeptical of her story, but when contact is lost with the human colony on exomoon LV-426, Weyland Representative Carter Burke and Lieutenant Gorman of the Colonial Marines ask Ripley to join a mission to investigate. Traumatized, she agrees on the condition they exterminate every last alien. They leave on the ship Sulaco with a team of Colonial Marines and an android named Bishop. At LV-426, the team explores the deserted colony, finding no sign of life save for 2 live alien facehuggers in containment and a traumatized young girl named Newt. Eventually, the colonists are located via their trackers, but the rescue team discovers they're all being kept in cocoons as incubators for alien offspring before being attacked themselves. In the ensuing chaos, most of the soldiers are killed, and an alien causes the team's dropship to crash, forcing the survivors to barricade themselves inside the colony. Ripley discovers Burke's plan to stow the facehuggers away on the ship for bioweapons research, but before she can expose them, Bishop tells everyone the colony's power plant will soon overheat and cause a nuclear explosion. He volunteers to reach the colony's transmitter and pilot the Sulaco's extra dropship down remotely. Burke releases the facehuggers in an attempt to impregnate Ripley and Newt,
For a limited time at McDonald's.
but they're saved by the Marines just before the aliens attack through the ceiling. I would eat that. Only Ripley, the Marine Hicks, and Newt survive, but the girl is captured by the aliens. With Hicks injured, Ripley goes all Rambo and rescues Newt from the alien queen's hive, barely escaping the power plant's explosion in the dropship. Back on the Sulaco, everything seems fine until Bishop is impaled by the queen who's stowed away on the dropship. But Ripley fights the creature in an exosuit and blasts out the airlock, once again, allowing the survivors to enter hypersleep for their return trip to Earth. Wow.
I have a good
This was
starting
fun.
point. I have a starting point for us here.
Please.
And it goes back to Sarah's. I'm so glad your slogan included this topic, which is it an action movie? Is it a horror movie? What do you think?
Action horror?
False dichotomy?
Honestly, yeah, I'd say action horror. It definitely still has like some blood gore aspects to it. You see like the face hugger more up close and more phallic, I'd say.
If I do dare.
Like you mean when it's in the tank and its little mouth is seeking on the glass?
Like,
If I was
Not for me.
to have to choose one, I probably would lean more towards horror because the movie immediately disempowers all the soldiers. They're like, give us your bullets. We're taking those away. Oh, we're gonna blow the bullets up, and they're screwed.
Except they say, oh, each gun only has 50 rounds each per gun. And then later they're just going. Like there's no, it's like we just forgot about that.
Oh, you missed a scene where they leveled up, so they got the extended magazines.
Then they're gonna prestige.
Even when Vasquez is like backing through that air duct and she's just bursting at the xenomorphs that are closing
they say
in.
controlled bursts.
And they show her like countdown on her ammo
yeah,
once in a while, but it's way more than 50.
Yeah, I was like, they definitely are
why
out
even
of bullets
bother to
at
say
this point.
50? Yeah, why
okay,
even
but
bother?
let's stick to the
Yeah.
positive. Let's stick to the positive.
Well, what I'm questioning is if it's horror or if it's action.
The parallel I wanted to draw is like zombie movies, because like a default zombie movie, you have a scary villain, but you also have people who usually can fight back pretty effectively against them, and it's still like an overwhelming force. It feels very much like that. So it's like, what are zombie movies? I would call an action horror. I wouldn't say you need to pick one.
I started comparing it to Jurassic Park, like throughout
Some of the same
middle.
team.
Yeah, when you start to see the aliens like crawling through the ceiling, I was
Yeah.
like, this is kind of reminiscent of like the scene with the velociraptors. So
For sure.
I think Jurassic Park is labeled as like a thriller horror action movie. So
Right.
this one I'd say is in the same category.
Well, it has horror elements. Like it uses that story pattern, monster in the house, right? They're trapped.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that differentiates it from just like a sci-fi romp or a fantasy romp. They don't have the ability to run. They're not driving the story. They're trapped there. They can't leave.
Right.
And they also have all those things like those monster tropes. Like you see the monster even when you don't see the monster, right? You see the movement on the little radar screen.
Yeah.
Or you see the acid damage that they left
blood.
behind. Whereas the analog to that in Jurassic Park would be the water shaking in the glass. Like how can we see the monster when we're not even seeing the monster?
Right.
I feel like though that this movie does transition a little more towards action because they give you a lot of alien shots. Whereas the other one, like it takes till like the 3/4 point of the movie to get a good look at the alien. We're seeing alien faces pretty much as soon as they show up. Like, and you see soldiers like blow up an alien face with a shotgun. Like that's the first scene with an alien in it is them fighting back.
It does take quite a while to get there though. It's probably 30 minutes. And that's why we have that chest burster dream that she has, just to give us a little glimpse of what can happen.
Which is definitely something I really appreciate in this movie is the restraint, because I think it's easy to be like, oh, people already know this stuff. We want to get to like the good stuff. But I think the best stuff of this movie is the slow stuff. Like I like that title sequence. Even like it takes a little bit long and like at the end it's really quick. But just like the music, the like light kind of shifting into the letters, all that stuff, just the atmosphere at the beginning, I think is a great strength of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would agree with that 100%. Even just like the same kind of panning through the ship at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like a direct homage.
Right. Same as the beginning.
It's actually the same song playing.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think
didn't know that. And then additionally, like the layer of frost and like space dust over top of everything, you immediately are like, okay, she's been here for a while.
And then you get full James Cameron with a robot coming in. Like I love that robot arm, the practical arm that comes in, opens the door and does the scanning and stuff. And I'm like, but that's just such a James Cameron thing. He loves robots.
They pulled the Jurassic Park there too, because you know at the beginning of Jurassic Park, you see the trees swaying. And like there's a big creature coming, and it turns out it's just like a big forklift.
Yeah.
They do the same thing here. Like the door opens, and then like or actually no, it's before the door starts getting welded or anti-welded. What do you call that? Cut. There's like a window in the door, and you see like these shields. Oh my God,
shadows.
You see shadows, and you think maybe it's an alien.
Nope.
It's this other non-human thing.
To be clear, though, Jurassic Park was 1993, and this is 1986. So this one did it first.
Oh.
But yeah.
Nice. You're right. That's totally fair.
I'm here to defend Jurassic Park.
I really
Steven
like
Spielberg is a hack.
that robot's laser thing in the swirling smoke is so cool looking.
Yeah,
it's a good effect.
I think I had that thought as well when I saw that. I was like, man, that probably kind of was super cool for audiences at that time to see. They're like, whoa, that looks super futuristic. Lasers and smoke.
Hell yeah.
And now we're like, we've seen this. I know what that's not a scanning laser.
They
It would be
definitely
CGI.
did that in Terminator as well, but I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one. That was like a common DJ light. It's like the spread out laser.
Which part is it in Terminator?
It's kind of a similar thing where it's like I think it's one of the robots and it scans its eye and it's just like a laser sweep.
Probably the second one.
Probably must be. Yeah,
I wanted to say that it's kind of unfortunate that this alien formula has been replicated so many times, as you were saying, because I feel like this is one of the big strengths of this movie is that it has this really slow buildup. And you have like the establishment of characters. They're going on the mission. We're establishing their relationship to each other and all that stuff. Like we get the character development scenes. Like Bishop is doing the knife on the hand thing, and I like all that build up. And I was saying to Lauren, I was watching it with Lauren, and Lauren's like, "So when does it get fun? Like when does stuff start happening?" And I'm like, the value of a horror movie is like it lulls you into a sense of like a comfortability, and then it takes it away.
Well, I think that's one of the things that's really cool about this movie, because even the plot of it is that Ripley's too afraid to go back, but they assure her with a group of military, like a military squad, and like they spend 10 minutes making you believe that like these are like hardened soldiers that are going to be able to fight back, and like you know that it's not, or like we know that it's not because we know what happens in the movie.
Well, even that knife scene.
Yeah.
That knife scene with the hand goes to show that Hudson he kind of is shook. He's like, that wasn't funny, man.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
Come
that
on,
scene.
man.
I have a question. Did you guys watch the director's cut or did you watch the regular theatrical
I watched the special
release?
edition.
Okay, I did too.
I was instructed by James to watch the theatrical
Yes!
cut, so I did.
You're a good boy.
What did you?
I watched theatrical cut as well.
You did too.
Oh, nice. 2 and 2.
Okay, so then you guys don't know what happens in the director's cut.
I think the
special
theatrical
edition.
cut is better.
You know what?
What are we missing? Tell us what we're missing.
I'll tell you. I looked at a listicle of like actually what they were.
Yeah.
And for most of them, I was like, oh, don't cut that.
I think it has a lot to do with like character building and character development, but
Stupid.
whether or not you see it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, but
It would matter to me. It sounds like I should have seen the special edition.
There was only one scene, and it's actually the first extended scene, where I was like, that was deleted for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, so what you guys don't see in the theatrical is we actually see back in time the colonists living at the colony and working there and stuff. And we see Newt with her parents when they discover the spaceship. And then her parents go in there, and the kids are left in this car. They're in like this rover. and then hours pass, and the parents return to the rover. Like her mom's just screaming on the radio, like we need like back up or like whatever she says.
Evac, yeah.
And then Newt sees her dad laying on the ground with a face hugger, like pumping its little ovaries.
It's I mean, as a child, imagine seeing your father with like a face hugger on your face. I think that does add to like the more horror aspect. But at the same time, there's a lot of like action tropes that are like, oh, superhero or this like big person loses their parents and that gives them more of a will to live.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Also, I don't know, is the scene of Ripley finding out that her daughter is dead, is that in the theatrical cut?
It's extended in the special edition. It's just barely mentioned, I believe.
I don't
corroborate
remember
this?
anything about hearing about Ripley's daughter.
So in the extended one, they say, yeah, you were asleep for 57 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Your daughter died 2 years ago at the age of 65.
Oh,
or
yeah, no,
however
I
that
don't.
math
David,
works
do you
out.
remember anything about that? Ripley hearing about her daughter dying?
And then they actually show
that
show a picture of her daughter.
man.
Yeah, and
Pixelated
the
as
picture,
shit.
I don't know if you knew this, but it's actually Sigourney Weaver's mom, like a picture of
That's
Oh,
cool.
no, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I think it's really crucial. That's a scene where I was like, why would you remove that? Because later on when Newt gets taken and Ripley has to, like, they're trying to escape the ship. They have minutes to escape. Like, why does she have to go back for
That's
Newt?
true. I wondered that. I was like, is it just because the scriptwriter was like, that's a woman, she cares about
No,
children,
it's
but it's
because
like actually
she can't lose her daughter again.
Yeah.
This
that
is
makes
what's
sense.
funny because so I wasn't here the week when you guys actually did Alien. I didn't know that Ripley had a daughter because I haven't seen the first one still.
I forgot.
Me too.
I don't think they mention it in the first one.
Maybe not.
Oh, what, they don't?
No, I don't think so. I think the only time we ever find out that Ripley
Oh.
has a daughter is in that one scene that they cut from the theatrical release.
Well, actually, okay. So what I was going to say is that makes more sense then because what I kind of got from this movie was that Ripley is sort of like she's been so focused on her work, or she's like been such a like a pull yourself up by your bootstraps type person. She hasn't had time to like have children if she wanted to or something, and so it's like in this scenario is kind of like she gets to be both the no bullshit taking the reins dad and the caring mom, and it's like a
Double day of labor, baby.
yeah, it's an opportunity for her to like explore this side of herself that she hasn't had an opportunity to explore yet. And so like she finds out that she's like, oh, it is really important for me to protect Newt and to like take on this surrogate daughter, I don't know.
Yeah, especially because like when you have a daughter and you're in cryostasis for 57 years and you find out she died even though you told her, because she says, oh, I told her I'd be back for her 11th birthday.
Oh,
she never made it back.
Oh man.
That gave her more of a reason or a will to like push through and actually give this child a life and a mother figure because she knows she won't have one
Right.
if she goes anywhere else.
Well, I guess it works both ways. Like, I feel like her character motivations are like a little different in the theatrical and the special edition, but
Yeah.
I think it's still like, I feel like they probably just cut it because it might be more confusing for audiences to be like, wait, she did have a daughter? But I don't know. I think it works both ways.
Another thing was you guys never found out about the queen until she steps into the queen's lair, right? There's no mention of the queen.
They do allude to like, where did the eggs come from? And it's like, oh, from something else we haven't seen. They say
Okay,
that.
then we got the same scene. I thought I read that was added.
Oh, okay.
What about the auto guns thing? The sentries. It's like
No,
a
I don't
whole
think we had that.
subplot.
Yeah, that's not
Oh,
part
what,
of it.
really?
They have these, like, there's two hallways by which the xenomorphs could come to the operations room, and they set up these two in each hallway auto rifles that are
Oh, I
firing
didn't
at
know
them.
this was
It's
only
no-
in the
It's a
special
lot of
edition.
content.
It is. It's a lot. I mean, you basically watch them kill off however many aliens and go through all of the bullets that they have, all
Those
of the
auto
ammo
rifles,
that they have.
They have character motivations and backstories.
The coolest thing about it is that in one scene, they're watching remotely the ammo count go down, go down, go down.
Oh.
And they do that twice. The first time, they run out of bullets. The second hallway, though, later, they're watching the bullets go down and down and down. And then the xenomorphs piss off when there's still like 10 bullets left.
They're piss acid.
So then
too.
they go, okay, they don't know that this thing has limited ammo. For all they know, it was just keep killing them.
Right.
So now they're going to try to find another way in. So then the humans reallocate their resources to go a different way. And so it's kind of an interesting like chess game. And like, because I think a big theme in this movie is hubris and underestimating the xenomorphs. And only Ripley sees them as like a planetary scale, like existential threat.
Yep.
And so everyone else is treating them like animals. They're just animals.
Yeah.
Someone even just says that, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they do.
And this is like Well, no, they're thinking.
Oh, they
they're
cut the
intelligent.
power. They're
Yeah.
like, they cut the power. What do you mean they cut the power? They're just animals. Freaking Bill Paxton. I love him
He's
in this
awesome in
movie.
this movie,
It's
yeah.
another
super young Bill Paxton. And I've never seen him play like I'm just a dude, man, like kind of character like that. It was so funny.
I have an alternative note. I didn't know xenomorph was like a broad term. I thought it was literally the name of the creatures from Alien.
So did I.
Well, it is.
It's actually like a broad term.
Outer
It's like some.
morph means like
It's clearly
physical.
it's made from two component words, but I think xenomorph generally, if you say the word xenomorph, it's referring to the alien people from Alien.
Yeah, well, xeno.
They're people.
Xeno means like outside, and morph means like form. So it's like extraterrestrial, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think you would call anything else in the real world a xenomorph.
The xenomorph for real world. The specific name xenomorph comes from aliens.
It does come from aliens.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm wrong.
You can have that back.
Well, xeno refers to what? Ethnicities or cultures
Yeah,
or
it's the keyboard, the
people
wood
groups?
keyboard that you hit.
what, xylophone?
Imagine if they were
Xenophone.
called.
A xenomorph is just like a
Anyways.
digital xylophone.
yeah.
Jeez Louise. I thought it was an I like having not seen the first movie, but having seen, Prometheus and Alien Covenant and all these other
sorry to hear
spin-offs
that.
of like, things that have done the same formula. I thought it was like, and knowing that the initial mission in Alien, are they supposed to be like scientists mostly? Like they're not
miners.
soldiers.
They're miners.
Oh, miners. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
but they're not.
none of
like,
them are 18.
They're not military people.
No.
So I thought it was like, knowing that, I think it was like a fun contrast going into this and being like, okay, in the first one, they're just miners. They're just normal people. They are not prepared. They have no idea what's happening to them, and they just get hit with this monster. And then their android also goes crazy, and like things go, off the rails. But in this one, I thought it was like a fun contrast to be like, okay, the basic setup is still the same. We're on a mission. We're on a ship. We're going to a planet. We're doing stuff. But like this time, they're like, yeah, we're gonna go. Like it's a bunch of meathead soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that they switch it up because you can see it in the design language as well. Of the ships.
Yeah.
Because not only has time passed, but also it's military stuff. So there's just the angles in the ship and how sharp everything is.
Right.
It has a whole different vibe than the Nostromo's.
Yeah,
design.
the Nostromo, everything, like it looks more like industrial, and there's like there's like these white meeting rooms and stuff.
I think to me there's something lost where I like the Nostromo's aesthetic.
Yeah.
There's something more unique and striking about it.
It's true.
It's just got its own flavor. Whereas this is like, yep, it's sci-fi soldiers.
They shot it in a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
how
not
much
bad,
of this.
but-
I don't know how much of this was like 1986 thing, but like things just kind of seemed low budget to me sometimes.
I actually kind of have a question regarding this whole like timeline / budget situation. So they didn't have the same set designer as they did for the original. Secondly, something that I found really interesting was there was definitely a lot of technological advancements in this one. Like everything did look newer, but then there were certain like circumstances. For example, like the exoskeleton suit. Ripley had been in cryotherapy or whatever, cryo chamber for 57 years. She hops out and she knows exactly what this is. It's the exact same as it was 57 years ago.
Yeah, 57 years later.
She still has her class 2 license.
No, I think it's slightly different than that. Because she gets out, she's a pilot, right?
Yeah.
Or she's trained as that. And then they strip that from her. And then she goes away for a bit. I think we're meant to understand that like weeks / months pass when she's living there before Burke or whatever comes back to his apartment and he's like, oh, you've been keeping busy, like she's working at the DAX or whatever on this.
Right.
the DAX.
I took it as like time has passed. She's been working there for a few months. She's got this
Okay.
new skill.
It
She got
must
a new
be because
license.
they reject her plea and they're like, oh, you're crazy. And then almost the next scene in the theatrical cut is them going to her room being like, you're not crazy.
Right. So, but in the extended one, you get the scene of they go to the colony and it was like this boss guy had instructed this one, what do you call him? Like surveyor to go to this location to see if the ship was there. He goes there, doesn't call back. Then the distress signal, like, so all this bureaucracy has to happen.
Yeah. I will say that was a part of the movie that I wish they could have written around because the horror movie trope of like the hysterical woman that no one believes is so exhausting. You're just like, just fucking listen to her, okay? Like, you think
that's
she's
funny.
making this up?
That's
like,
funny
what?
because to me in that scene, I was like, I can totally understand because like she's basically saying, the ship blew up. I'm the only survivor, and now I'm telling you that the reason for all that is we were attacked by these alien creatures that no one has any evidence of except me, and they're so dangerous that they killed all of us. And it's like, I'm like, okay, I can totally understand how they're like, but really though, are you okay? You know, like
Understandably.
I'm with you. You know, it's like obviously like from her perspective, it's like,
But wait,
hello.
haven't they already sent the colonists over? Like, it's not in that time. Like, they've been there for.
Yeah,
That's
they've been.
another question
So
I
they
had.
They said
know-
they
they know that
surveyed the
there's
planet
stuff.
multiple times, but no one
Yeah.
saw that ship.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was my other
yeah,
question.
I mean, there's
was
definitely
like,
plot holes. Yeah.
When the
How?
Nostromo
in that one
found it,
scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but when the Nostromo found it, it was a stress beacon. They were responding to
A stress beacon.
a signal, a stress beacon.
I'm really anxious right
What
now.
is that? They,
I have a test tomorrow. Send out a stress beacon.
distress,
Yeah.
a distress beacon,
Distress call. Yeah, something like that. Sure.
a distrust beacon.
One thing
I
I
don't like this guy.
what they really like in this movie. What I love in
You got all
Alien
these
is
like
that
flare guns for different occasions.
In a Mexican standoff.
I'm more stressed. You're distressed.
All right, sorry. go ahead.
One thing I really love in the first one is that you don't really know who's the protagonist. It just kind of falls onto Ripley because she's the last surviving member. And she's also like one of the most reasonable characters. She's very cautious. And they sort of invest into that feeling a little bit here. It's clear that Ripley is the main character from the beginning. She's the only one that's the survivor from the previous movie. But then when they introduce all the Marines,
Yeah.
they spend a lot of time with her just like in the background of shots, not talking to her. And they invest into that feeling of like, she's just part of this.
yeah.
And I really appreciated that.
From the story pattern perspective of it being like monster in the house, she kind of has a dual role thing here where you're right. Like she kind of is on the outside and watching these other characters go into the compound and get beat up by, she's not a part of that really. She's indirect to that. And her role then is like as the half man role. That term comes from Jaws. You got Quint. He's the guy who's seen the shark before. He knows how the monster's rules, right? And then if he gets bitten in half, that's why he's called a half man. But
look at
that
that.
archetype is in lots of horror movies.
Yep.
And so Ripley is the half man in this. She knows the aliens rules and how they work, but then she also later becomes the protagonist. So at the beginning of the movie, she's kind of half man, and then everyone dies, so it's just her, and then now she's main character again.
from the like filming perspective of like that beginning of the crew and Ripley all together, something that I found really interesting was Al Matthews was actually a Vietnam vet. So before they shot those scenes, he had actually done a boot camp with everybody except for Ripley.
Oh, cool.
Or so
So which actor is that? Matthews?
Al,
Is he the captain?
he is.
Okay.
That guy was awesome.
He has 2 Purple Hearts.
Oh, wow.
He was given 2 Purple Hearts. But yes, so Sigourney Weaver wasn't
Wait.
part of that boot camp, so that she, when filming, was made to feel like she was separate from
Yeah,
them.
Steven Spielberg
interesting.
really is stealing stuff from James Cameron. Because he did that in Saving Private Ryan. He did the boot camp with everyone minus Matt Damon to make him feel like an outsider. But he's just stole that from freaking James Cameron.
Well, that's whatever. If it works, cool.
No, I know.
I feel like it's less of a creative thing and more of like a logistical thing. It's like
Outraged.
I think Bill Paxton said that on set, or was it Michael Biehn said that on set, Sigourney Weaver was just Ripley and like barely talked to him outside of the scenes that they did. Kind of. Maybe she's kind of method.
Yeah.
Sigourney
I believe it.
Weaver.
Yeah.
She was
Gorn.
intense.
Friends call her Gorny.
Sigourney.
Nini.
I love her performance in this movie.
She's wicked.
Oh man.
She just has like an intense look.
Yeah.
I
But she
believe-
has that grace and softness too. She
Yeah.
has an incredible range.
That's I think that's honestly one of the most beautiful things to me about the movie is like her being this like intense badass. She takes on the alien queen by herself. She duct tapes the guns together. I'm like, what's going on there? But anyway, she's like a huge badass, right? And then she also is like so soft and tender with Newt. And I'm just like, oh man, best of both worlds. You can do both. Find you a alien killer that can do both.
Man, I feel like that feeling is exemplified best when she thinks Newt's dead. When Newt's been taken by the aliens and she goes and finds nothing and she starts crying. And then she hears Newt scream and she's like immediately like, I'm going.
Let's go.
And her face just changes and she starts running.
Mama
and you're like,
Bear's lifting
yeah,
the
come
car.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, like,
This movie
stoked.
does that but then thing so well. Like, okay, she goes to find Newt and she closes in on the signal, but she finds her watch.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's all is lost.
Yeah.
But then she
Right.
hears the scream.
Yep.
But then they're in the lair.
Yeah.
Like it's just all these like twists.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a roller coaster.
Oh man, I forgot how good that slow reveal of the alien queen is, where you just see like the little like the cloaca open up, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it takes like a minute to get there. It's just a slow zoom of like the slug looking things with the
Yeah.
eggs in it. Like, it's
The
such
tube.
a beautiful,
It's a great reveal.
like, reveal. And like
The oviduct.
oh gosh.
and the design of
Yeah.
the alien queen is
Yeah.
crazy too.
Yeah.
James
it's just
Cameron designed it.
Oh, really?
Well, he
Yeah.
was an art director before.
Yeah.
So like, because I watched some behind the scenes stuff, and they were talking about how, like, he even like one of the people who makes the props and stuff was like, yeah, here's a design for the face hugger animatronic thing that James designed. Like,
Yeah, he wanted
That's
to
cool.
take
Like an
on a
engineer.
lot of like the design stuff for this movie, especially after working on Terminator. So
I feel like they did such a good job of still kind of obscuring the aliens' true shape, even though we see like these kind of wide shots of it. I'm still like kind of confused about what it actually looks like. Like, I know it's got 2 sets of arms kind of and then legs, but like everything's just so angular and all over the place. So I'm just like,
I love the little details of the queen being different. Like, her teeth are longer and transparent.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the way that the light shines
that's
through that.
Invisalign.
Or even like the shape of their head. Like, it's so clearly a xenomorph, but it's like they're just different enough that you're like, that's a special xenomorph.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great.
she's got the giant crest
Yeah.
on the back.
That's the crown. Did you guys have any toys? From
Alien
Aliens?
toys? No.
Hell yeah. I had my
too scary.
cousin was older than me, 7 years older. He had a badass queen figurine, and it had a button on it. You can make the little mouth shoot out of her mouth.
Oh.
The little mouth.
Yeah.
And then I somehow, from like a garage sale, I actually had the loader that she fights in.
Ooh, that's sick.
And it
Right.
had buttons on the ends of the arms so you could make the little clamps, clamp, clamp, clamp.
That's a good toy.
Yeah, and you could open up the hatch and put another toy in there. I didn't have the actual like
Oh my
Ripley or whatever.
God.
But
That loader
Yeah,
looks
it's a badass
so
toy.
goofy.
I literally wasn't born yet.
the loader, okay, I'm with you there. I don't believe. I believe it hits hard.
Yeah.
I don't believe the agility is sufficient to take on a being like that.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I think this is part of where I kind of, well, I thought it earlier in the movie, but this was one of the parts in the movie where I'm like, this looks kind of low budget. Like,
You're
it
talking
looks like a
specifically
cardboard.
about that fight.
Yeah, well,
Or you mean earlier when she first rides
and
in
also
it?
in general, the very first shot of it, it looks okay, but then basically every shot of it afterwards, I'm just like, this is not a real thing. Like, this is, I didn't believe it was a real thing.
But they built it. They
They're
didn't have
real.
CG.
No, I know, but it was just kind of like, it was just kind of shaky in the way that it went. It just, there were a couple things, it went along with other things where like the tank that they drive or whatever, it's got like, the shell has like bounce to it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's clearly like
That's
a
fair.
thin shell on top of something. And
See, I didn't get
there's just like a little things like that across the entire movie that I'm like, is this a student film? Yeah.
I sort of pick up what you're pitting on, but a different way. Like the loader, it's kind of like it's so cumbersome and slow at walking. Why not just use a forklift? And then
Right.
you see that Batmobile thing they ride around, and it's cool, but the clearance is so low, like you couldn't go over a speed bump. I hope they
Yeah.
have paved roads where you're invading.
It made
Yeah.
me think of like a flattened Cybertruck. That's
Right.
kind of what it looked like.
The cyber brick.
Yeah. Interestingly, the dropship looked very functional. Like that looked like a real military
I have
thing.
a question about that, by the way. I don't know like the physics of space per se,
Yeah.
but the thing just it drops, it goes. Are they like past the atmosphere where gravity is like back, or you know how it just
Gravity is just a theory.
What are you talking about? You're saying like it.
when they drop it, it just
When they drop the
drops.
car?
Yeah.
Oh, it
no,
just-
no, not the car. The thing
ship.
out of the ship.
Oh, okay. So there's the big ship. It
Yes,
drops the
it
little
drops
ship.
it, and it drops like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, I
Like
have
it's
questions
just
but they're
about
falling,
outside
but-
of the atmosphere, or
Well,
okay,
the,
wait,
the
so
thing
I
with the
thought-
atmosphere is it's not discrete. It just like fades out.
Okay.
It's not like a bubble that you go like bloop into. So they could have just been in like low orbit or something like that where they're still like that guy. Remember when that dude for Red Bull like did that halo jump and he skydived?
Yeah.
Like from space. He's kind of in space.
I think that, see, I wouldn't think about this too hard. I would chalk it up to the fact that it's a space movie from 1986 and everything always looks a little janky when they're like
Fair.
going from space to orbit and that. Like I see it like dropping and I'm like, okay, they did that because it's a cooler shot to have it like drop directly from the ship, even if that may not actually be what happens. I had more of a question of like once they get into the atmosphere, they're like, for some reason, all these alien movies, they have to just rocket. They have to just rocket into the atmosphere at full speed. I was like, what about a more cautious approach?
There were nice fluffy clouds too.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, this planet is full of like
Yeah.
really fast moving sand, and there's these beautiful fluffy clouds on
Yeah.
top.
They're like, we're going to experience some chop.
oh, dude.
I'm like, why are you going
Speaking
so
of that,
fast? Why don't you just slow down?
Were you ever a StarCraft player?
A little bit, yeah.
2 of the lines, you know how like when you click on a unit, they talk?
Yep.
2 of the lines from the Medivac from the original StarCraft game are from this movie.
Oh,
Did you
really?
recognize them? When she
I
goes,
don't-
hold on, we're in for some chop. That's one of the lines. And the other one is in the pipe, 5x5.
Oh my gosh, yes.
both
I
StarCraft
totally
ones.
remember that one.
That's sick.
Oh, that's funny. I had no idea. StarCraft was so good. Let's talk about StarCraft.
Let's just keep talking about this.
Microsoft
Oh,
owns
here's
that.
another StarCraft tie-in.
Yeah.
When they expand the lore in this movie by going into the annals of this complex, and they ask Ripley, "What's all this shit on the walls?" And Ripley doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, you don't know all the rules of these aliens, and that's similar to StarCraft because it's like the Zerg. They have the creep. When you build a new building, it
Yeah.
like the creep extends. That's kind of what this was like. Why is that shit on the walls? It's
Definitely.
just because it's their home now.
Is that supposed to be all resin? Like,
I
what
don't
is
know.
it?
I think it's like their nest. I was thinking about if they
But how do they build it? What is it made of?
You don't want
they
to
secrete it?
Alien
It's definitely a
slime.
secretion. What
Well,
else
'cause
could
they-
it be?
Yeah.
Because they trap people with the
yeah.
resin and they excrete that, I think, from their mouths.
Well, so inside their mouth, there's the little mouth, right?
Yeah.
And inside that, there's a tongue, and it just.
I thought you were saying there's little hands, and it's like Santa's workshop,
and the little mouth has its own thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. No.
and the little tongue is pierced. Oh, you're bad. Yo, let's talk about Vasquez.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
That
was
James Cameron's favorite archetype.
Yeah, I was gonna say-
Badass Latino woman.
in probably 1986. It was so cool.
She's not Latina.
Oh.
Did you know this?
Yeah, is she Jewish?
Yeah.
Wait,
That's her right there.
You can be a
Goldstein.
Hispanic Jew.
No, I heard her speaking. She's like, yeah, they put brown contacts on my eyes.
What?
And then they darkened my skin to the level of my freckles.
What?
You know who she is? Terminator 2, John Connor's foster mom. That's the act.
What?
She's like a ginger, man.
Yeah. What the heck?
Are you kidding me? She's not actually Hispanic.
But boy,
I
can
saw
she
that
do
her-
chin-ups. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I saw that her
sweet.
name was Goldstein, and I was like, "Is that? I don't know. I didn't know the whole story, but I was. But
Rosario
oh, man.
Goldstein.
That is wild.
What's
I
her
mean,
first name? Loretta or something?
where'd it
you
go?
lost her.
I
Jeanette.
lost her.
Jeanette.
Jeanette Goldstein. I mean, times have changed. Jeez.
Okay, so there's brown face, there's yellow face.
Wait.
What do you call that kind of
What's
face?
yellow face?
That's like
Oh, not in this movie.
Cloud
Just
Atlas.
in general. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. What do you call this?
We can talk about that
doesn't
character
matter.
too, because it's like clearly it's a heavy-handed stereotype, but
They make an illegal immigrant joke, and I'm like, we're still talking about that in 21, whatever this is.
Dude, it's 80,
2137
it's
or
86.
something.
Like there's so many sex.
it's 2086 or no 2079, I think.
I think it's
It's late
like
to-
2137 or something weird
Is
like
it?
that. Yeah.
She said something about something in 79, and so I was like, okay, are we still in the 21st century? I could look this up.
Most of the bad jokes are relating to gender and sexism though, which that actually fits for me because of just all the gender themes, the female themes in this movie.
Yeah.
I liked. Yeah, no, good.
Well, I was just there were a couple moments that made me question what was actually going on. Like when she says she can drive the loader, and then the two guys just like watch her get into it and are like laughing as she's like turning it on and like going like, you know, she's obviously knows what she's doing and she's going for it. And the two guys are like, and she's like, she said she could operate it. There's female Marines. Like I don't know what the big deal is here.
Well, part of it is that she's not one of them.
Yeah, so that like
Right.
initially I was like, is this like an artifact of the times where it's like, oh, we don't think women can do things? But then I was like, well, on the plus side for the movie, there are female Marines, and so it's like it might have more to do with the fact that like she's not a Marine and
It's
she's not
both.
one of these people, and like
and she's been locked away for 57 years.
yeah, and she's traumatized and she's shook, and they're like, we've seen, you don't know what we've seen.
Plus, she's hanging out with Burke and that lieutenant they don't respect, right?
Yeah,
so it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. Can you do anything?
Right. So I thought that was less about sexism and more about like actual plot reasons.
I really appreciated Vasquez's true zinger when he's like, "Hey, I didn't want to mistake you for a man." She's like, "No, how about you?"
that.
Yeah.
That was
Bam!
That was
Oh,
fun.
man.
Iconic.
And then her
almost.
best friend with the dangly thing on his hat.
Oh yeah.
What was that? What was the dangly thing?
that dangly thing was on the end of his rifle for a while.
Yeah, what? I
It's
wish
just
they
charm.
said something about that. That wasn't in the special edition?
It's just history.
But it's
you know
so
you've
weird
been on
because
lots of missions.
He's wearing a hat and it's like obscuring his vision. It's huge.
It's the 80s, baby.
It's a huge dingle dangle.
He would have had that on his ear.
I was gonna save this for my nitpicks, but the one thing that like really bothered me about this movie was the costume design. After the laser scene, they come in with gas masks.
Yeah.
Like we're in 2173. Come on, you can be a little bit more like on it for the design stuff. I mean, even in the first movie, they were wearing like astronaut
I think Cameron is really interested in grounding the technology of his movies, and so he doesn't like having everything feel really sci-fi. He wants like regular things that we recognize and feel like touchable.
But like that's exactly,
us.
I completely agree with you, Sarah. Like that's something that really bothered me about this one is that like their equipment, the Colonial Marines equipment and stuff didn't feel like real
they
stuff.
were in
Like
camouflage, but camouflage is developed to blend in with like actual plants and earth beings and organisms. They couldn't have like adapted that to space
they're
or
going
the
into a
planets
colony.
that they're going to. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't take an extra step. Or in the extended version, when they go to the ship that was abandoned to check out the aliens, they're wearing like science fair goggles. Do you remember that? They're just like clear plastic goggles. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Can you be a little bit more like creative with that?
This is the type of thing I'm talking about where it kind of seems like a student film sometimes. Like instead of having like futuristic helmets with like built-in circuitry or whatever, some of them are wearing regular army helmets with like a GoPro attached.
They
and
all
other
have
ones,
different costumes.
Yeah,
too.
and other ones aren't wearing helmets at all, but they have like these giant devices like strapped to their heads that like come out in front of them a little bit, and it's like wiggling around as they move their heads. Those big giant guns they were carrying, I'm like, are those literally Steadicam mounts?
They were.
They were literally just Steadicam mounts with a gun on it.
Yeah.
I
And
was
they
like,
use
you
those in
couldn't come
Jurassic
up-
Park too.
You couldn't come up with something?
Yeah, right? And like, I understand if there's budget restraints, but you could add like some silver to those plastic goggles or like, just something
The guns
to
look
make it
plastic.
feel
I heard
more
I
futuristic.
saw an interview with James Cameron speaking exactly on this topic. And,
yeah.
Really?
And how he was like, you have to just think through everything. Like, what would the colonists wear on that planet? Well, it's raining all the time, so they would wear orange high-vis stuff so you don't get lost outside. And there's just a million examples of that. And you're basically saying, yeah, Cameron, you should have done 1,000,001.
I mean,
you fucked up.
we didn't even see the colonists. Like, I mean, I guess we saw a few of them in the cocoons, but I didn't even like.
Well, in the extended one. They
Oh,
so
okay,
they
sure,
shot it, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, it was a huge. It just bothered me. And I feel like another thing we were talking about the ship design and how that's cool, but like I saw all the rivets and stuff on the drop ship, and clearly it was like modeled sort of after like a B-2 bomber or something, like a World War II plane, but like that kind of riveting of this like thin metal sheets, I was like, they wouldn't be.
You have handheld welders.
Well, why doesn't it look like a real spaceship instead of like you've cobbled this together? Like this is like a Marine's outfit. Like you got to have good, I don't know. It just looked cheap.
I can see why they would still have camo though. Not as an in-world thing, but just for the audience. Like we have to recognize that they're the army. So they should look like recognizable soldiers to us.
I just feel like these guys are supposed to be Colonial Marines. They're the most badass soldiers out there.
And
It's
they
like,
don't act it either.
Yeah.
Like if you look at our military and think, okay, they're like super like formal and
Discipline.
disciplined. Meanwhile, we have them sitting on the plane playing the knife game while Ripley's like freaking out because she knows where they're headed.
yeah.
They're so relaxed.
Not only that, but they were so out of line. Like when they're getting the briefing and they're just like, yeah, right, it's gonna be nothing, blah, blah, blah. Hey, how about I'll fuck you anytime, blah, blah, blah. Like, whoa, just guys.
I definitely do agree there. I think that they sacrifice believability for making them be fun and larger than life.
Right.
And I think it's the right choice because the movie is more enjoyable for having these silly like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
But when we are watching it in 2022 and we have to be the arbiters of believability, then it does suffer.
He was going for that type of soldier that's actually been in the shit and is kind of irreverent. It doesn't have much respect for clean-handed authority who's never seen it. And so they prioritize like fraternity over listening to the guy, like because they listen to the captain, but they don't listen to the lieutenant.
Yeah.
Right. I completely enjoy their characters and I wouldn't want it the other way. But at the same time, like it was just the costumes that really made me like, come on, it could be just a little more professional.
It definitely took me out of it. And I think that's part of why I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought maybe people who saw it a long time ago would. Because this is my first time seeing it. And I was like, it's a horror movie. It's an action horror. You want to be like in it. You want to be like on the edge of your seat feeling the tension. I just didn't feel the tension ever.
I don't know if that's
I was like, this is fake.
what I really wanted it. There's something like I guess charming about like the scrappiness of a movie like this. And I don't know. There was no way a movie from 1986 about aliens on a random planet is going to be like, oh man, I'm so drawn in. It's like
I would agree.
What?
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
If this was like a lower budget film or like a lower prestige film, but this is like the sequel to, and this movie itself, it's got like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. It's like, it's held up as one of the best sci-fi horror movies of all time. Yeah. And I'm looking at it and I feel like I should be extending this sort of like, leeway to it as if it's like a student film and from my buddy. And I'm like, you did a great job.
To me, what I feel like it accomplished is that it took the first one, which I think is a much classier film and like higher quality. Like there's no like real weak points in the first one. It's just like good package. And then it made that accessible for way more people. And it like it broke that out in a really quality way where it knows what works about the first one and then like multiplied that with popular appeal, and it gave us that. So I think that's why people love it, is that it's faithful to a classy original while being like dumb fun. Right. And it never feels like it's compromising on one or the other. It's just like giving that. And so I don't think that it deserves like 97% because I agree with you. I think it's like a little bit like bro-y and like cheap in the wrong ways, but I find that charm more than makes up for like the disbelief I have.
It's like a really good old pop song.
Yeah.
Where you can like see the formula when you're listening to it. Like, oh, yeah, okay, now it's time for the ticking clock. Like, it's going to explode in 4 hours.
Yeah.
But it just has all these things that either were tropes or have become tropes for good reason. Yeah. Even things like, kill me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Like, wait.
Man, yeah. I mean,
suck on this.
once more, I feel like, I mean, we, maybe we'll do those movies later, like Prometheus, and I don't want to do Prometheus. So we can talk about it now because, like, I don't know why they seem to not be able to get away from this formula of like, because to me, it's like the Alien franchise seems interesting from like a lore standpoint. Yeah. Like there's the engineers and there's the life cycle of the aliens and there's the genetic engineering component and like how did all these things happen and humans were created by blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, there's so much you can do with that. But every movie they make that seems like they're going to do something more interesting, it's always, we go on a mission, things go wrong, aliens attack, there's a few survivors for the next one. It's like every single, like, can we do something different?
That's why you do what I did and just stop watching the sequels after the second one.
Yeah, David
they have to do things that...
It ruined my experience of this, honestly.
They have Alien Isolation. It's the best Alien property since the first one.
What's Isolation?
That's the video game. It's like you play Amanda Ripley, her daughter, and you're stuck on a ship with an alien, and basically you're just trying to survive. But it's like a AI alien that's really smart.
Really?
Yeah, it's awesome.
One alien?
One alien.
Wait, that's like procedural?
Yeah, and it's like it's AI, and you have to like hide in lockers and stuff, and it's all about just survival.
That sounds so crazy.
Awesome.
I had like a PS1 Alien game that was a survival horror game. It was super, super dark. It was the kind of game that gets you to adjust the darkness, the brightness of your TV every time you turn it on. And it was way too hard for me as a child, but it was terrifying. And the facehugger, it was first person. The facehuggers just come at the screen with their little seeking tongue that we talked about before. Yikes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think to transition from like the more unprofessional, like, fun, exciting people, I think it's nice to talk about also like the scenes that were super intense. Like the scene where Ripley and Newt realized that the facehugger got let out and just the panic that like not only you see Ripley and Newt endure, but like as the viewer, you're like, oh my gosh, watching her throw the chair against the glass pane and it not breaking, or like her waving her hands at the camera and the guy just turning it off, being like,
just as soon as you see those vials on the ground, you're like, that was deliberate. Yeah. Like, there's danger, and you get the subtext too, right away.
Yeah, she goes to go for the gun and it's gone, and then she sees like.
And when it runs around, it's like very reminiscent of me trying to catch a spider in my house.
Except that when the spider moves its legs, you hear the clack of like bones on the tile.
So
they are the creepiest. They've got to be in the top 3 best designed monsters of all time.
So
for sure.
They look so legit. Like their design really holds up.
And they're just geniusly conceived because their whole reason to exist is to get the egg in your mouth. Right? And they have this tail that chokes you. And when you're being choked, what do? You gasp and open your fucking mouth.
Yep.
It's just
Perfect. Why didn't I think of this?
But it's also
That's
something,
a bingo.
But it works so well to on an audience level because you can imagine a lot of the sensations that they're going for. Like you can imagine
The
what
body
it feels
horror.
like. Yeah, you can feel it how it's touching your face, like the strangling, and then
'Cause it's one
something
thing-
shoved down your throat.
Because it looks like a hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes right for your face. I think that's like a key element of it because it's like a monster with like sharp teeth or whatever. It could come at you and like bite your arm off or
Yeah,
something.
slash your
but
chest.
that's less like
Yeah.
you could survive that, you know. But if this thing just like kind of fully envelops the thing that makes you unique, your face, it steals your identity.
And the fact that it's a hand, it looks like hands, makes you be able to feel it more. You can
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
it more. So you've got the body horror, you've got the claustrophobia, you've got the ew, it's in my
Yeah,
mouth,
you're
you've got the
losing
choking,
agency.
you've
Yeah.
got the spider look, the clacking on the floor, it jumps at you, that's scary as hell. Can
Yeah.
you dodge that? I don't know.
it's really a perfectly designed monster.
Amazing.
And then I guess another part of that scene too is like you see Ripley smoking throughout and you kind of wonder, is there really going to be smoking in space in 2173 or whatever? But you see it come in handy because she has the lighter in her pocket to set off the fire alarm. And you're like, you know what? I'll accept it.
I didn't even put that together. I was like,
Smart.
Yeah.
it was a smart move too.
So I guess you should take up smoking.
Oh, and those facehuggers can't hide and shit. They're small.
They're so creepy.
They can be under your.
And one more thing about the face
They
huggers.
really give me the heebie-jeebies, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
They're
I don't
great.
like anyone hugging my face, that's an alien.
Honestly, I'd rather be killed by an alien than a facehugger.
I would like a remote control face hugger to control, as a toy.
Oh.
a replica.
See, but there's no guarantee that you would be killed by an alien. They might take you away and to be
cocoon you.
implanted, to be impregnated.
But then you get face hugged.
Super Stranger Things. So that's where Stranger Things got it.
No, this got it from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
One thing I'm in a hit picks and
Yep,
nitpicks.
let's do it.
One of my big hit picks is the scene where Bishop's getting put into the tube to crawl out.
Yes.
And Vasquez just hands him the gun and he looks at it for a second and immediately hands it to Ripley. And it's such a good little character moment where he's like, he looks at the gun and he's like, like, what am I going to do? Like, logically, he's like, this is stupid. Whereas
Yeah.
a human would be like, thanks.
Yeah,
and
that
take
was
it.
interesting. I
and
was
then-
confused about
yeah.
that for a second.
Yeah.
Because why did he get handed the gun to
Because
begin with?
Vasquez is like, to her, it's like, your gun is power. And like,
Yeah.
you want that power. And he's just like, I'm a robot. Like, I
Right.
know it's useless.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
glad
no
that
known
they-
beings outside. If I
Yeah.
get intercepted, this won't help me.
Yeah, exactly. I just love that little 1 second. Just
Yeah.
I just liked when he was going through the tube, how tight that was.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you sent an android because that would be really difficult
Yeah.
to go
like the
through.
way
the
they
one-
shoot it too, with this like little uplight on him, and he's
Oh,
Yeah,
my
that-
claustrophobia.
I
was
know.
not enjoying that.
I am not claustrophobic except for that specific situation where there's a long, tiny tunnel you have to crawl
Yeah.
through. He's like 180 meters. I was like, ah!
Have you been caving?
No.
At least you know
Well,
in a tunnel like
have.
a pipe
Yeah.
that it's uniform. It's
Yeah.
made by humans. It's going to
Exactly.
be regular. But caving is creepy, man.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I think
yeah.
to me,
that's
I
way
almost
worse.
think a failure of that shot, and maybe it doesn't matter, is I can see the light at the end of the tunnel right as soon as he gets in. I'm like, there should have been like a bend or something, because to me it's way scarier when you don't see the end.
Right. Yeah. And he would have to move. Like
And
he'd
they
have to
welded
bend-
shut behind him.
Yeah, that I didn't expect.
Well, because I guess the aliens wouldn't be able to get through there, but maybe facehuggers would.
Maybe.
Another point on that dude, Bishop. I love his death. This is a hit pick. When he dies and he's just drowning in the milk.
Yeah.
It's literally milk, by the way, in production. I saw someone like filling up a tank with this like half and half. But I just thought it was a sweet visual. Just
Yeah, yeah.
And then his torso goes sliding around.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That's one of my favorite things about the Alien franchise is the fact that these androids can get torn apart and still kind of like be alive, but
Yeah.
like gurgling like.
It's awesome. I watched the first movie the day before I watched this one, and
Yeah.
I still can't get over when she smacks the android's head and it falls backwards. Like,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't realize that he's an android until he starts leaking milk.
Oh my God.
Oh right, yeah.
The first one has goes further with the weird android innards. It's got like the beads stuff and
Yeah.
it's
They have
weirder.
like entrails, and this one just look like corrugated, like
I
little
love it, though.
pipes.
Yeah.
Well,
Like they look like intestines, but you can tell they're plastic.
I found it
Yeah,
interesting
because they
because
basically
the
are-
first one to me has more like gore than the second one. I mean, like we're talking about robot gore, but it's like maybe that's like the James Cameron touch. Is he wants like horror and violence, but like it can't go too far.
Right.
Like, we can't have entrails.
Well, it's a blockbuster.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can have robot entrails.
I did appreciate how the android doesn't go bad in this one.
Loved it.
Because like that happens a bunch in the later ones. and
the
the first one. But I appreciate how this one they were like, you know what, the intro's gonna be good the whole time.
Especially because they like leave you with suspense. Ripley gets out of the elevator and the ship is gone, and she's like, "He screwed me over."
For sure.
That's
and
true.
then he comes back, and you have your faith is restored.
They
in
never
these
though
androids.
drop any breadcrumbs that you think he should be distrusted.
No, I don't think
other than
so.
her
she
distrust.
distrusts him.
Yeah.
Other than like what you said,
And
but
then
there's
the
no ever
audience-
just like a shot with him where he's like being sneaky or something.
No, I don't think so.
That
Yeah.
guy's an awesome actor.
He's awesome, and
liked
I
his
really
look.
like him, especially by the end. We haven't talked about the corporate guy though.
Oh yeah, mad about you,
I hate him.
Paul. What's his name? Reese.
I have
Paul
it, so-
Reiser?
Reiser?
I like
Riser?
He's obviously so
Reisner.
hateable.
Reiser.
Reisner.
There's
I think
no
there's
end.
there's no
I-
end. Okay, you're
looking
looking
at it.
Paul
I
Reiser.
wrote it down with an end.
okay.
So.
He's hateable, but at the beginning, I didn't actually hate him.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
he has a hateable quality to him, but you can also just see like, well, he's a greasy corporate guy.
Yeah.
Like he's working for her, he's advocating for her, but he just has he's just has fealty to the corporation to the end, and fuck, he becomes so wormy.
Oh
Well,
my
and I think
gosh,
something
yeah.
they do really well is that at the beginning, it's if you're experiencing the movies from Ripley's perspective, it's her and then the Marines over there, and he's kind of with her. So it's those two together against the Marines, and I'm like, oh, it's a smart thing to tie us to him in this way, even though we're cautious of him. But I just love the way they handle that, not arc, but that slow reveal of how vile he is. And that line she gives, she's like, I don't know what's worse, like them or us. Like, they don't fuck each other over for a percentage. I was like, yeah.
Got
you
him.
Oh,
You tell him.
she really tells him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I hate him.
Oh, he
Me
locks
too.
the door, like locks them into jeopardizing compartments. Open the door.
The dumb
Son of a bitch.
It's like annoying to me
Hate him
that
so much.
there's always this character in these movies where it's like, because you would think that these people care more about their own survival than getting money, but they seem to always like prioritize the chance to get money over like we're all gonna make it.
At least in the defense of this character, he saw what happens when you're in the situation and you come home empty-handed and destroy shit. She lost her license and everything. She was
Right.
ruined.
That's
He doesn't
true.
want that to happen to him.
No, and
Yeah, but he also took the risk of going on this mission.
he hasn't seen what they can do though. Really, like he has no idea what he's going into. He
Right.
just thinks money in my pockets. I bring back something. I get a cut. They get a cut. We're
Right.
all good to go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was ingenious to be like, I'll just get them impregnated with it and they'll put them back in their cryo sleep
Yeah.
chamber.
Yeah, so they don't have to quarantine.
and then they'll arrive on
they'll
Earth.
Get through
Yeah, that was just
quarantine.
really ingenious.
Man, that scene when it's being revealed, when Ripley's like, that's what his plan is. He's like, no, it's not. Love that.
You have no. It's just sad. You have no evidence for this.
yeah.
It's delusional.
How did you guys like Michael Bean?
He's so vanilla to me. Like, I like
Hicks.
him, but same with like as Kyle Reese. I don't know. He's just like a good, like, normal dude.
He
Yeah,
was
they
like,
get lost. I
yeah,
think, a little bit.
I didn't really realize that he was supposed to be one of the main characters until everyone else is dead, and then he's talking to Sigourney Weaver, and I'm like, oh, who are you? What, Hicks? Is that your name?
There's more of him in the special edition. They develop their relationship more.
Oh, okay.
There's a scene where he like teaches her how to use his gun and stuff.
Oh
like
no,
that.
that's in the theatrical. Like
it is?
that's all there, but that's all
This
like
listicle lied.
that's all. That's all like after. It's like that's in the later half of the movie.
When we already
Yeah.
know that he's
Yeah.
a bigger deal.
I think because I didn't recognize him immediately, I wasn't like, oh, that's Kyle Reese until like an hour and a half in. So at the beginning, I was like, he was kind of like the other soldiers where he looks like a generic soldier dude, but you know what? He's got a sensitivity to him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of grew on me, and I was like, you know what? He's pretty good for a nobody.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
so maybe just because of expectations, I like liked him more. And then
Yeah.
I realized he wasn't a
No,
nobody.
I did like him. I just think that the movie could have done a little bit more to endear me to him. It should have been thinking about me.
You know, at the same time, though, I'm kind of glad they didn't. Just because if they pushed him anymore, I think they would try to create a like
little love story.
relationship between
That's
the
true.
two of them. You kind of see one when he gives her the watch, and she's like, and he's like, it's not like I'm putting a ring on your finger.
Right.
It's like it's not like this is an engagement. Whatever.
They did do a good job of like kind of introducing you to all of the Marines kind of like as a group instead of like there's 2 or 3 that we really know the best. Like obviously there was a little bit of that, but when they all started dying, I was like, I don't know who's gonna survive.
Oh yeah, the ones you haven't met, they're dead.
Yeah, but we kind of
them
met all
plus
of them.
the black
That's-
guy. They all die first.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they all had lines, you know, we kind of got to know all of them a little bit. So I appreciated that there was that uncertainty of who was actually going to die until they actually die.
Kind of. They say Hicks and Hudson's.
Well, obviously Hudson was going to survive, and Vasquez, and
what's a weird line is there's a part where I think it's the lieutenant is like he's talking to Hudson and he goes Hicks and he goes no, I'm Hudson.
Yeah.
Did they do that just because they, like you said, you want to get endeared to Hicks? You want to know he's going to be a main character later, so they just say his name one more time?
Maybe.
Or are they just trying to show that the lieutenant doesn't know this crew?
I think it's just to show that they're pretty fresh into what they're going into.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I have some nitpicks that really annoyed me.
Oh,
Okay.
Let's hear a couple.
Why is there no one on the frickin' ship in orbit? That seems like the dumbest thing ever.
They don't have any backup.
No one is on the ship. They go on this mission with this giant frickin' ship, 2 drop ships, a team of Colonial Marines, blah, 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 all these people. They couldn't bring along someone to stay on the ship?
Well, there was supposed to be another ship, but the whole crew got the space flu, so they had to quarantine.
Oh, they had Omicron.
Space COVID.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they did originally have that one pilot who got eaten by the alien or destroyed by the alien.
There's a pilot and that dude with her.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
both
they're on the
died.
planet. They
Yes.
take one drop ship down. Everybody on the ship in space goes down on the drop ship.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of people
dumb.
stay on the drop ship, and then there's people in the tank. But there's no one in space.
Okay.
Question kind of related to that. I must have missed it. How did the alien get on that pilot ship?
They were landed
They
with
were
the
parked.
with the thing down.
Yeah, because that's how they
It's
let the
not
little
shown,
truck out.
though, right?
No.
Okay.
And also, yeah, we're just gonna stay landed on this plane with the ramp down the whole time. Stupid.
We don't know it was down the whole time.
Another question, like also regarding that, Riley, was I was thinking if Ripley is a pilot, why did she also leave the spacecraft? Because she could have been in the pilot ship that was down on the
License
planet.
revoked.
Well, I guess he said her license would be given back to her if she pursued the mission.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Well,
Probably didn't happen yet.
I think
though.
she was there to
Be a
be an
consultant.
on the ground consultant. You know.
The obvious position for her would have been to stay on the ship and watch through this because she's endured an alien already. What other than having her license given back to her or saving whatever people?
Right.
What else would she gain
I
from
kind
that?
of agree with you because at the beginning when she's invited on the mission during the debate phase of the hero's journey, she's really, really reluctant to return at all.
Yeah.
And then when she gets there, they go in and they look around and then the captain goes, "It's secure, let's all move in." And she goes, "It's not secure." And then she goes right in.
Yeah.
Well, because they're like, it's secure. Whatever. Shut up.
I just would have thought she would have protested a little more. Being like, at least if she was just like, "I'm actually going to stay in the car and I'll just be on her comms so I can give you,"
Well, but
and then
see-
they don't let her, that would have satisfied
She's
me.
having night sweats because she's so terrified.
Well, yeah, I guess so. She's terrified, but I think that's what makes the character so compelling is that she is terrified, she's traumatized,
but she's
yet
brave.
she goes on, right?
Yeah.
Nevertheless, she persisted. That's a quote from a feminist thing. But yeah, I think that she also has this part of that fear is an intense need to destroy them because they are what's keeping her up at night. As long as they are alive, she's not going to have peace. And not only that, she doesn't have anything to lose. Her daughter's dead. What does she have out there? Nothing. She doesn't have a family or whatever. So
Fair enough.
get in there and get down to business.
I got a hit pick when they enter and there's no music. It's just silent.
Yeah.
and
Some
tiptoeing around.
footsteps.
I was honestly
Just
weirded
Foley,
out a little bit
dripping
by the
noises.
fact there's no music for much of the first part of the film.
Well, it's better when there's no music because the music at the second half is so cheesy.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, when there's the shot where they're taking off, to get away from the aliens, and it's the Batman 1989 score, and it really took me out of it. I was
Now,
shocked.
Batman copied this.
It's true. I couldn't believe it. It was kind of a triumphant horn tune, but it was so of its time and weird and not fitting of this.
Okay, another nitpick. I don't understand. Ripley knows the place is going to go nuclear. Okay, but she spends time to burn down the egg chamber and shoot all the aliens and blah blah blah. She spends so long in there being like, "Oh, I'm going to burn your eggs in front of you."
That was restorative
Just
justice.
get the hell out of there.
That was for her daughter.
They're gonna be blown up. It's all gonna be gone. What are you doing? Well, wait, I gotta scrub this part of the deck first. It's a little dirty.
Even worse than that is when she's saying goodbye to Hicks for a good 80 seconds.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Go.
That
you just need
didn't
that
bother
shit in
you
the
at
movie.
all?
You just need it in a movie.
It was part of her revenge story. Like, she watched her entire previous team get murdered by these things, and then she just watched her other team of people also get murdered by these things.
It tracks. It tracks with her earlier comments, though, because remember she says, nuke it from orbit just to be sure?
Yeah, and then
so she's standing there, only way to be sure is do it yourself.
She said nuke it from orbit, that's the only way to be sure. So it's like, nuking from orbit is probably okay. You don't need to go I feel like you're right that there was a little bit of like retribution there, and I felt that like I could see how you could feel the emotion of that moment, but I think I was just like annoyed because it took me out of it, because I was like, if the thing you care about is making sure that they die, and
nuke should do it.
Yeah, we get it. We get it.
I really, to counter that moment, I love how she communicates non-verbally with the queen. I think that's such a cool moment where she just like shows that this is a flamethrower, and then she points it at the eggs, and then the queen gets it and is like, everybody chill the fuck out.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it's like, that's pretty smart.
I like that they show that the aliens sort of have some intelligence, but they're not like civilization type of thing. They're just like,
they're like if there was like
raptors.
A spider was a super intelligence, it wouldn't be more human. You know, it wouldn't have morals like us. It would just be really good at being a spider.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like that.
Mm-hmm.
Be like the Zerg before Sarah Kerrigan melded with
the Queen of Blades.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, my last hit pick is when they're in the vents and Vasquez and the lieutenant or whatever, he goes back for her because her legs are burnt with that, so she can't move. And then he like pulls out the detonator and he hits it, and then she sees it and she like holds his hand, and they have that moment. That moment like made me feel something in a way I didn't expect to, because I didn't like Vasquez at all, but like that sacrifice moment where they're like, we're dying together. Yeah. I was like,
I loved her final line too.
What did she say?
What's his name? She was like, "You're always such a bastard."
Yeah,
they blow up together. It's like that was just a warrior's end.
I was into that.
It was great.
I guess so. Did you feel like that redeemed? What's his name? Gorman?
Oh, a little bit. I don't know.
I don't know. I felt like it was just kind of a weird end to the story, to their story of like. Obviously, I'm asking for like a complete arc. It's a little much to ask or whatever, but I was just kind of like, okay, they were just kind of shitty and then they die. Okay.
Do you think that the queen had to press the button in the elevator? And if so, does she press it with her little hands? Does she stab it with her tail? Does she hit it with the tiny mouth?
I think it would be a tail thing.
I think it's a snout boop.
She's got like a really,
a snout boop.
agile tail.
I think prehensile.
She booped it. Why was the elevator not already at the bottom? They rode the elevator down, and then she got out of the elevator. It just automatically goes up?
Yeah, it could be. There are freight elevators. I worked in a building that had a freight elevator like that. You had to call it, you had to hold the button for its entire journey, like a 30-second hold.
Yeah.
And then once you got out of the bottom, it went right back up.
Oh, I've been in a freight elevator that stays where you put it.
Wow.
And you'd think they would, in the future, have figured that out.
Those little handheld welders are cool, but you'll be blind. They'd all, they'd all be blind.
I have one hit
gloves.
pick. When they're inside LV-246 for the first time, like the compound on the planet, I really love how when they start to discover all of this like goop and stuff on the walls, it cuts between like first person on their end and then the camera view on Ripley's end. Mm-hmm. So you see what Ripley sees, and it's quite blurry. She doesn't really see like exactly what's going on there, and then it cuts back to the first person and you get a really good idea of where they are and what they see.
Yeah.
And it really created a suspense for me.
Yeah, the fact that they have imperfect information back at the base or whatever through the cameras, that was awesome.
That definitely added to the tension for sure. Yeah. And I hated that lieutenant guy.
I like how they say,
"What do I do? Okay, slowly back out and switch to flamethrowers." And
just get the hell out of there.
It was a second mission, right?
I missed it. Why couldn't they use their pulse rifles? It was like
the coolant chamber would explode.
Yeah, if they hit the coolant.
And actually, that's why they filmed in a nuclear reactor that was defunct. Is because
did they actually?
Yes, because they wanted to shoot in like an old oil refinery, but then they were told like, yeah, if you guys have explosions and stuff while making this movie, that's actually not okay. So it's kind of meta.
Huh.
I like that they had Bishop explaining that the blood was all acid because it was oxidizing when it hits the air, and that's why it was burning through stuff. Because I always wondered, like, what the hell? Like, if it wouldn't it just go all the way through the earth? It just burns forever, but it's just a chemical reaction, and then it'll just burn itself out at some point. That's cool.
Isn't that all acid though?
What? I don't know, dude. It's been a long time since grade 12.
All acid is eventually going to be neutralized. It's just it goes through the planet's core.
You might think this knowledge is basic.
Oh!
go.
Time to go.
Moving on. Pretty lame when Newt goes down the chute. That's even funnier as written because I wrote her name Noot.
Down the chute.
But you know when she's hanging there and then like she grabs her sweater, Newt just doesn't grab her back at all. You know that sweater's coming off. And
Yeah.
she's like, ah!
What'd
I
you guys
have a
think of-
nitpick. I hate her scream.
That's a Newt pick.
A new pick. I couldn't stand it. That's just a personal thing.
Like throughout the movie or that particular scream?
No, like every time she screamed, it was like blood curdling. It hurt my brain.
No, not a great child actor. What's the deal with her accent?
She's not like she's from New York or something. She's not supposed to have like an
Imagine she's a
accent like
Brooklyn
She
that.
has like a colony accent. or something.
Yeah.
Ripley, you know.
My parents, they're freaking dead. They're dead, Ripley.
That's hilarious.
I love that.
I was gonna spike the waveform on the audio.
Yeah, but she's like, they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Yeah, I feel like,
It's
I feel like she just kind of
what
had like a
did
kid. Like I feel like this was sort of the '80s thing of you just get a kid in there. It doesn't really matter if they're that good of an actor, and then you just feed them some lines. I think there were some good for child actors from that era, but like I feel like this is a bit of a cliche that you get. Like the kid is just like, I'm saying a line they told me to say, and it's like I don't believe you that you are the real person at all. Although I will say,
Mostly.
she did a good traumatized kid impression.
Yeah.
You know?
She's good at being a feral kid. That makes me wonder, was she in Mad Max 3?
Oh,
I don't
maybe.
think so. I'm not seeing
Seemed
that
kind of
here.
She's
the same
getting
thing.
typecast as feral child.
I find her presence just makes the whole movie less scary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it didn't land right for me. Like
A
it wasn't that
child
she
being
was terrible.
present should make it way scarier.
Yeah, I sort of would think, but it's like then when I remember very specifically when the egg is being revealed to her or whatever, like when she's cocooned or partially cocooned, and then the egg opens up, being like, oh, this really does feel like Jurassic Park. Like it removed like the seriousness of it or something, which doesn't make sense because you're right. Like a child in danger should make me care more, but maybe I just hate kids.
Or maybe you knew the movie would never go there.
Yeah,
Did you
that's
believe?
fair.
Did you believe for a second that she was actually dead? Because I did not believe.
No, they wouldn't
course
kill her
not.
like that. No.
I mean, I did like. There was a part of me that was like, they wouldn't. And then I'm like,
No.
nah, they
No, they
didn't.
wouldn't. No,
And
they
then
wouldn't.
later, it's like, yeah, she's alive. I'm like, okay.
After Ripley said they wouldn't kill her, I was just like, oh, obviously she said that line because the kid's not gonna be dead.
Yeah.
And in 3, is it Ripley that's already has the alien in her? Or is it the kid that has the alien in her?
Is the kid in the third one? I don't remember.
remember.
Ripley's in jail in the third one.
This is
And
spoilers.
she has the.
This is spoilers for the third one.
This is spoilers. I mean, she's in jail in like scene 1 of the third one, I think. But
No.
Um,
I
anyways,
don't remember.
Yeah, I liked Newt. I thought that it added some humanity to it.
Sure.
And I think particularly it was like, I was so irritated when they rescue her and the Marines are trying to get her to talk and they're like, hey, come on, what'd you see? Like, hey, girl, come on, wake up. Like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, this is a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, are you dumb? Are
Yeah.
you
Yeah, this is not how
idiot?
humans
I think
are.
that tracks. No, I think,
No, it does
someone,
kinda track.
someone could be like that
Yeah.
in the 80s, the future 80s.
The future 80s, yeah. And then it's a contrast for when Ripley sits down and she's like, hey, I know how to deal with you, you know?
And there's actually some scenes that I've said this before. I bet I've been wrong before. I'm pretty sure there's a deleted scene like in the extended that you guys didn't see
Yeah.
where Ripley's like putting her to bed and stuff. Is that?
No, she puts her to bed in
Ah,
this one.
damn it. I'm pretty sure there's more.
Why did I
scenes.
waste
I'm
my
sure.
time?
What was that? 17 minutes? Where did it come from?
There are some lines that Newt says that are like kind of okay. For example, when they are going to bed, Ripley says, go to sleep and I hope you don't dream. And then she says, like, I hope the doll doesn't dream too or whatever. And then Newt replies and says, she doesn't have bad dreams because she's a piece of plastic.
Yeah, that was
I was
great.
like, she's so aware
Yeah.
of what's happening,
But
and
it's
that
almost-
just makes it hurt some
Yeah,
more.
exactly. It's like lost innocence. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, you have gone through something that you should never have
She
gone
looked.
through.
I'm convinced she's traumatized. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. She saw her dad with the thing on his face.
I mean,
and
from
then-
her performance. From
Oh,
her,
yeah. Okay, cool.
and her hair. Yuck.
That was just so hard. So hard to watch. What?
Sewer hair.
Girl,
Fan
straighten
vent
it or
hair.
something.
Yeah. Why not use some shampoo?
They comb
some
it at the end.
conditioner.
There's no way.
It's like she had access to shampoo.
I'm
She
sure
just
in
didn't use
space
it.
they had some machine that you could just walk into
have
and you're
space shampoo.
perfectly clean. I don't
But
know.
the aliens are using it all the time.
Have you seen the Queen? That crown.
Flawless.
Yes. Okay, nitpick. There's no way
And that's the T.
something the size of the Queen can be a stowaway on an aircraft,
Yeah.
especially if the pilot is an android. Like
Yeah.
when you are flying aircraft, you are so keenly aware
Whoa.
aware of all the weight.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
You always know the weight.
The weight.
Especially a smaller aircraft like that.
I don't know. I
Like
feel
if you go
with
on a helicopter, they're like, "How big's your purse?" Like the weight matters all the time, and the Queen is like the size of the
Couple
damn
thousand
ship.
pounds,
Like,
yeah.
she's huge.
I guess so.
And
that
like-
also makes me ask the question of like, okay, I guess the aliens can survive in space because they went through space.
You just hold your breath with two. You got two mouths, two
They've got
sets
a-
of lungs.
and they're not going to explode because they have a carapace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm over this.
Final hit pick because it's the least fun to talk about. Super cool that they put all the VFX and costume artists' names in the opening credits
That is really
Oh.
cool.
very prominently.
Okay, yeah,
Hit
nice.
pick, that's a hit pick.
That's dope.
My eyes glossed over because I was like, let's get this.
Reading.
I started watching this movie at like 11:15.
Oh, wow.
And I was
Oh.
like, let's go. Come
Oh
on.
my god. Also, Sarah Connor vibes on Ripley. I think.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when she's freaking out at the beginning, like the beginning of the movie when she's trying to convince people. I was like, this is Sarah Connor. That movie came out like 7 years later or something like
Did
that.
it? No.
T2. Yeah.
I mean, Ripley and Sarah Connor are kind of put forward as these examples of like female action heroes that are done really well, as opposed to Rey Skywalker.
and they're both sequels that are the best sequels ever. They're both James Cameron sequels,
Right.
Where he didn't.
Dude,
Oh no, he
dude can
did
make
the
a sequel. Titanic 2, can't wait.
Avatar 2, Return to Titanic. Pandora on Earth.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Avatar, how do you guys feel about
How
the future of James
Old
Cameron?
is James.
It honestly could be completely hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like I actually enjoy the first one,
Yeah.
if only just because the visuals are so
spectacle,
wild.
yeah.
It's just like it's just a feast for the
Yeah.
eyes.
Still or was?
Yeah. I think I put it on actually recently as like when we're cycling through like random movies to watch, like while the baby's having a bottle or something. Recently, I guess in the last year, I don't know. And I was like, oh man, this is beautiful.
It
Yeah.
still looks pretty decent.
Yeah, and it's like okay, it's like a Dances with Wolves kind of white savior story.
I have
like
a
it's got
feeling
flaws, but
he's gonna take it personally that people think the story isn't good, and he's gonna like go above and beyond and make it like good characters, good story. It won't be like art, but it'll be
Why?
very well presented.
Why
It's
is
been in
it taking
development for
so
like 10
long?
years.
Yeah.
I heard they're trying to make it 3D with no glasses.
What?
I heard that
why?
they're trying to make some new technology for it.
Possible.
Don't-
But they're also
just
they're
don't.
making like 4 movies at once, so that's part of why it's taking so long. And,
That's a mistake too.
I agree because like I don't know if that brand carries or not.
I don't
but
give a shit about this
the
franchise.
thing I'm excited about is like that he built submarines to go to the bottom of the ocean, and he filmed on the bottom of the like literal bottom of the ocean. Like that's pretty fucking cool.
What?
So we'll see.
Kind of extra though if it doesn't turn out.
But I think for him, it was like, okay, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So he's
That's
always
what-
wanted
I
to go to
understand.
bottom of Marianas Trench. All right.
we should do Titanic.
Wait, Avatar 2 is coming out this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
okay. Jeez Louise.
Believe I want to see it.
Is it the same
2009
people?
to 2022, and it's been like there was never a moment where there wasn't a sequel. That's wild.
Wait, what? Oh, like it was always.
It was like always
On
like, yeah,
board.
there will be an Avatar 2.
It's been
Oh.
10 years. It's just crazy.
13,
No,
13.
yeah, more than, sorry. I mean, yeah. Much
Before
more.
we go, I have so since I designed the Carpool Critics logo and gave you guys stickers of the Carpool Critics logo, I thought ever since the rebrand, I might as well give you guys some stickers of the
Ooh.
TJM branding.
Please.
Nice.
So I have some.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
There
Jay.
you go.
TJM.
Oh, this is awesome.
nice.
Thanks, Sarah.
Listen to that
So
ASMR.
Wow. Music to my
And-
ears.
Ooh.
Offensive to the listener.
Oh, they're shiny.
Yes, I made them.
Oh, I got 4.
Yeah. 5. I
Wow.
tried to give everybody 5.
I can count. Cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sarah.
No problem.
Right on. Now
Not
we
for
can
sale,
represent.
suckers.
Yeah, limited.
I'll,
Yeah,
sell you,
yeah.
I'll sell you
Only.
mine $100 a piece.
They're NFTs.
Yeah.
All right,
Wait,
cool.
will we sell these on LTT?
No, this
never.
is exclusive
Not even
to
once.
us.
This is a business card, actually. You can plug it into the video calling machine.
It's
It's got an RFID tag in
I just
it.
wanted to say the first image, I think, in the movie that is about the themes of fertility and womanhood is the crossfade from Ripley's face in the cryostasis thing, crossfades into the earth.
That was so odd.
Oh.
It kind of took me back a little bit, but
Because
I've
the Earth
accepted it.
is like an ovary.
Because we've implanted R into the mother's face,
Poisonous
man.
human species. We're destroying the planet.
All right, guys. Next week we are doing Forrest Gump.
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan, you ain't got no legs. We are going. If
that
you're
episode will
offended
be-
by Forrest Gump impressions, don't come.
Yeah, yeah,
because it's
sorry.
gonna be, Mama, you ain't gotta die
Jenny.
all day.
Episode will be better than a box of chocolates.
We were sitting with a millionaire. Oh, it's gonna be unhinged. All right, come back for that. Tweet at us at TJM Pod. Email us hello at They're Just Movies. Again.
Hi.
And remember, they're just movies. Did we say that?
Adios.
Bye.